In this video, I'm gonna explain to you guys a handful of terrible habits with money that will keep you broke. They were keeping me broke. With money, there's a ton of mindset that is involved with that. I hate saying that word, mindset. It's a very cliche word to say, but there's a lot of different ways that we typically think about money that keep us from actually getting more money or holding on to the money that we have. And if you don't know who I am, my name is JT. I consult companies like Nissan and Skechers and Microsoft on their content strategy. We also hire them creators. That's what our company does. And I'm a creator myself. I make a bunch of business content, educational content for people like you. This whole channel is for you. So anywhere you guys want me to take it, it's gonna be going there. That's why I love when you leave comments so that I can help you guys. I wanna preface this video by saying that I literally retired from being a professional athlete with $0. And now, having started my own companies and making high six figures, I'm fucking stoked. I love where I'm at right now, my relationship with money, the way that I actually take it serious, how I look at it and that it's gonna plan for my future and my family, and I have a very healthy relationship with money. And when I was playing, I did not. Anyways, terrible money habits that will end up keeping you broke. Number one, not looking at your bank account. It is so easy when you are in a place where you aren't making boatloads of money to not look at your bank account, because you're almost like, I don't want to see it. I hope that there's something in there. I'm praying and I'm just going to go until my card declines. I'm just going to keep swiping. For me, when I was playing hockey, I didn't even use a credit card. I just had a debit and I would just sling that thing around and hope that one day it wouldn't decline. And if it didn't, it'd be cool. I didn't want to look in there. I didn't want to know anything about it. It's almost like something that you're just like, if I don't look at it, I don't have to actually deal with it. You need to know, you need to look at this, you need to track it, and you need to be at least aware of where you're at financially. It's something that the more you spend time understanding your finances, the more you actually enjoy it, because you start looking at it as things going in and things going out. But number one is not looking at your finances. You need to spend time with it to get to know it better. Okay, number two, in these bad habits that you need to break to be a little bit more financially stable and financially abundant, not tracking your expenses. It's a very important thing for you to do so that you start getting in the habit of looking and noticing where you're spending and noticing where you're overspending on things. And then you can actually backtrack. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. One, the easiest way is for you to literally just Google Sheet Finance Tracker or Notion Finance Tracker. Notion has a free one that you can just go and you can use. And if you don't have Notion already, it's something that's super simple for you to sign up for. It's free. They have a finance tracker that you can go and you can start writing in your expenses in there. It's really easy. The second way is all these banking apps, for me, Bank of America auto categorizes a lot of things. So you can go in there and get a rough estimate and see where you're spending in certain categories per month. And then the last way that I think is the most advanced is actually using something like QuickBooks, either by yourself or using it with a bookkeeper that can help you with all of that. I now have a team that does it. It's not an internal team, it's somebody that I outsource and work with on a weekly basis. But they go through all of my credit card statements, they go through all my bank accounts, they go through every expense that comes in. They categorize the majority of them, and the ones that they don't know, they leave for me. I go in and categorize them, and I look at them every single week. I go in there and I look at them, because then what you're able to do from there is, once you know how much you're making and you know how much you're spending in total, and then you categorize them, then you can create a budget and you can actually look at okay, cool, on average per month, I'm spending X amount of dollars and I'm making X amount of dollars. So this needs to be a little bit lower for me to actually take home more money. And so then you can create a budget. So once you start looking at that and you know I'm spending $1,000 per month on meals, it looks like in September I spent $4,000 or I spent $1,700. I need to cut that down because I'm only supposed to be spending $1,000 and I spent $1,700, and now I'm over budget on that, which means this is gonna be really hard for me to actually take home money at the end of the day. So you need to start looking at your expenses. That's step number one of you actually creating a budget. And that's something that's really crucial, and it's really easy for you to not think about that. The next one is overspending on categories where you don't need to be overspending. This is where I think the wannabe wealthy people end up really flexing and overspending. I like to be very frugal and very efficient with my money because I want it to last a long time. So I'm not going out and buying first class business flight tickets everywhere or doing everything in a private limo service Because for me, I'm like, that's not an expense that's necessarily needed, and it's not actually making my business grow or doing anything other than just satisfying ego. So for me, I look at like, where are the areas that I am overspending and in categories that I don't need to be overspending? For you, that could honestly be a $12 latte in Los Angeles, because I know they have those. It's absurd. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes those things are good. But if you're overspending in categories where you don't need to be overspending, that's where you need to look at and be like, look, I'm getting a $12 latte every day. And that for me is like one of my biggest categories. And I don't need to be doing that because that's not genuinely helping me financially. And it's actually pulling a lot on my finances. So I need to be better with that. And I need to actually like spend less in that category. So a lot of people out there aren't making the income that they want to be making. And then they're going and spending it on dumb shit. And now they're wondering, why am I not able to actually like save money or have money at the end of the day? It's because you're overspending on things that you don't need to be spending on. You need to go through the exercise of actually detailing out your expenses, so then you can look at the things that you're overspending on and be like, cool, I gotta cut that shit out. There's no more time for the $12 latte or for the bottle service or for the Uber Black or for the first class ticket or for the new shoes or just these things that aren't actually benefiting you in the long term. Some of them might. A new pair of shoes for you might actually be something that just has real intrinsic value, and therefore it is better for you because you feel better to the core when you spend on something like that. So it's not for me to judge and say that that's a stupid expense for you. You need to decide on that, but you gotta look at everything in every category and be like, what is genuinely impacting me as a human being and as a business that I can be okay with? And what are the other things that I know when I'm sitting with myself, I know this isn't something that I should be spending more on, and so I gotta cut back on that. Number 4, most people out there don't think like an investor. What I mean by that is things that might be keeping you in this place of financial scarcity. One of those might be not understanding how to actually make more money. What I think you need to know about that is the more value that you bring to somebody, the more you are going to get paid. The bigger the pain point, the more you can charge. For a lot of people that get stuck in this employee kind of mindset, which isn't a bad thing, being an employee can be a great thing. But when you get stuck in that where you're like, my ceiling is capped here and I can't find any ways to actually make additional income, that's where you end up being in a place where you're like, there's no way for me to grow out of this. And I know that my expenses are here and my salary is here, and that's it. And so what I would like for you to start thinking about is taking on some sort of side hustle, taking on some sort of side income. That could be like, for a lot of you people that are creators out there, that could be like going and doing UGC for a company. That could be going and doing community management for people, like running their DMs when you have off time, if you're already working a 9 to 5 and you got a couple hours at the end of the night, running their DMs for them and being a little bit in the community. What you have to start thinking about is, I'm investing my amount of time here to get this amount back. What can I invest my time into that will bring me more back? Something that might be like a very entry-level job at like a restaurant as like a hostess or something like that. You might not be solving that big of a pain point for that company, so you're at a fixed rate and there's no way to create a higher ceiling for you. Something else, like when you're making UGC for a company, you might be able to structure a deal where you're like, look, I don't care if you pay me up front, but if this video absolutely pops off and you guys make $1 million from one video, I want to get a percentage of that revenue or a percentage of those sales. And so then you're creating exponential growth within the limited amount of time that you're placing within shooting that video. So you just got to start thinking about like, my time and my value that I bring is the exchange that brings back the money. I need to start thinking about where can I place my time that I'm giving more value so I can be making a little bit more. Now, the last thing is taxes. Now, I'm not going to get into taxes because I'm not a CPA and I don't want to pretend like I am, but you need to understand where you are at and the tax implications that you have and just how your expenses, the things you need to be saving for it so that you're not getting screwed over by taxes and being like, I made 50 grand and I spent 50 grand. What do you mean I need to pay taxes on that? So you need to understand that from the income that you're making, you should set aside immediately, set aside a portion of it for taxes so that you don't have to worry about that come tax day. I know for us as a company, every quarter, we're setting aside money and paying quarterly taxes so that we don't have to worry about it and we're setting ourselves up for success. And so in my budget, when I'm looking at like how much I have to spend each month, I already am setting aside what I know is gonna be gone for taxes immediately, up front. You have to understand taxes. It sucks. It's absurd. We could get really deep into how taxes are just ridiculous, but it's just something you have to do as finances and as you're trying to like better yourself financially and understanding it more and having a better relationship with money. You have to start setting aside portions of it for taxes with all of the income that you're making. It really is important for you guys to understand your finances and create better habits with it, because you're gonna be doing this the rest of your life. And the more that you start to prioritize that relationship right now, the better you will be set up for doing whatever you wanna do. And it's so easy, especially when you're not making the money that you wanna be making, it's so easy to not prioritize this, to just be like, it'll figure itself out eventually. No, build that habit right now, because as you start to make it and you start to look at it, you start finding new ways to actually create additional revenue for you to do the things that you want. Create yourself a better habit with money, create yourself a better relationship with your finances, start putting time into it. You'll feel a lot better with it and you'll actually start to enjoy it. Like myself, I hated money. I hated it. I was like, no, not good. Don't care about it, don't want to look at it. And now I actually am like, oh, I enjoy having conversations around this. I enjoy spending my time with my accountant, with my bookkeeping team, and looking at this and being like, okay, cool, let's be a little bit better here. Let's prioritize this a little bit more so that I can be better for the people around me. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave comments. Let me know if I can help you in any other way. Please subscribe. Love you.